Hi, friends. Welcome to week 2. Thank you for your good discussion forums. I'm really enjoying seeing your videos and listening to you grappling with the material already. I hope you see that this course really is allowing you a chance to reflect on your own values, your own goals, and receive some of the new content and try it. I want you trying things and reporting back to us, especially as we do videos each week. I'm going to keep the prompts for each of the response papers fairly general, which is not to say be loose with it, but take the time to apply it to your own work, your own goals. All of you have different goals. Some of you are aspiring to higher leadership. Some of you are more towards the end of your careers, and you might be digging into this content just out of interest or to do some kind of community service or work in your church. So whatever it might be, use this for your own benefit. So I want to hear you taking the content and applying it to past experiences, applying it to potential future experiences. So over my many years of employment, I have learned that some of my best bosses have actually been my worst bosses. So that was a major script flip for me many years ago when I was complaining to one of my older brothers about a current boss who was not behaving in an ethical fashion. And his word to me was, certainly sometimes we can do something about it. And if there's something to be done, then take the steps that you're able to. But I think we all know, listening to your videos yesterday and the day before, most of us know that sometimes, particularly if you're either in middle management or even a step down where you're just not in management at all, there are times when you can't do a whole lot. And my brother's advice to me, which was excellent advice, was to keep my head down and take notes. Because if you either are one who aspires to a higher level of leadership, or here's my hope for you, that in this course you're recognizing that you are all leaders on some level, and you are all called to be leaders, probably on a higher level. And if that's the case, it behooves all of us to self-reflect the whole way through this content and to take notes on those that we encounter who are not doing it effectively, rather than just having it become a great irritant. Literally write it down, take notes, reflect on why the person might be behaving that way. What would you do differently? And how can you make a note to yourself to never do whatever it is that that person is doing? I hope you're recognizing that in Sinek's talk and also in the book that we're currently reading, and I think you'll see in the next book that we're reading, that the best leaders, yes, are those who are self-sacrificial, who are servant leaders, who are focusing elsewhere rather than just me, and my gain. But there's a little bit of a complex twist to it. If you don't start here, the way that you step in and attempt to lead, or the changes you attempt to make, can seem and can be inauthentic, and that can be the most damaging of all. So as we begin this course together, I want you to begin here, which is really reflecting on who you are, who you aspire to be, and what pieces might need work before you step out there and try some of these things. The author of the current book has an excellent list. There are many good points, and I hope you're seeing the book reads fairly quickly, but I want you making notes in it, or at least making mental notes of things that you can be doing. But in chapter 7, there's a list. I have a paper copy here in front of me on page 146 in the paper copy. That's a little chart of 4 elements that I think are very important to focus on. And the first one there is integrity. One of the things that probably irks me more than any other in a boss, or frankly in anybody that I'm encountering in the workplace in particular, but even in personal life, is when someone says something and then doesn't do what they say they're going to do. Now, we all run out of time, we all make mistakes, and certainly we can own things, but when it's never owned, it's never addressed, promises are not kept, it makes the ground on which you're trying to function very slippery, right? So before we go casting stones, and we could all get together and complain about all of our bad bosses, I had one arrested right in front of me, threw me his keys and asked me to call his wife. And I've had bosses who threw all kinds of flowery language and F-bombs Yeah, I've had the gamut myself. But instead of casting stones, I want us thinking about ourselves. So, in terms of integrity, one way to check your integrity is to consider, what you say you're going to do? And that sounds simple, but it actually can be pretty hard to follow through on. When we're busy, when we're distracted, when some of us will say things in the moment to avoid conflict. Or that's maybe the most blunt way to say it, but just to appease a situation, we will agree to something, we'll say something, and then not necessarily be able to follow through on it. So check your integrity. What does that mean to you? How much do you think you step into that? And do you even know? So his definition is that you're acting in accordance with your stated values. Are you able to even state what your values are? And if not, you need to slow down and either this week do some journaling, just do some thinking. If you're able to get out there and drive, God bless you. It's nice to get out of the house. But if not, just to step outside, go for a walk and really think, what are the most important things to me? What do I base my values on? Those of us who are Christian, I feel like we have it easier in some ways because we can pick up the Bible, we can pick up the life that Jesus led and cling to that as our stated values. Well, if those are your values, it's not just a question of whether you live them in the public sphere. And I remember when that hit me full in the face many years ago, is that it is not just what we do in public, but it is absolutely every decision that you make, every way that you choose to spend your time, every thought that you have as you encounter other people or watch something on the screen. Everything, every part of you should be lived out of your stated values. None of us do this perfectly every day or even every hour. We can all improve on this. So where do you need to improve? His second point is bravery. And that's a hard one because we all rationalize away and make excuses about, I can't because, it's not appropriate because, and sometimes the cost is greater when we don't than when we do. And what does that mean in the workplace? I mean, we're not all in armor and running out into a battlefield, but in the workplace, it can be calling out what is not okay. It can be pushing for change where there never has been change before. And so you need to know how to communicate effectively, and you've got to have bullet number one. You've got to be confident in your own integrity before you step into the bravery realm. Third item that he lists is perspective. Are you able to stop and not only think from the perspective of those around you, your peers, perhaps those who are working for you, but also those who are working above you? So if you're communicating a request for change, you've got to have a good sense of where they might be coming from. Are they emotionally aware? What is their background? What are their preferences? What are their political beliefs? What might you say that might not ring true to them or might set them off or make them defensive? We don't ever want to make people defensive because then their ears start to get covered and they're not able to hear what we say. So how can you ensure that you are taking everyone else's perspectives into account before you step forward, before you walk into the workplace, before you turn on your computer and step into your day? And the fourth one, final one, is social intelligence. This is not only an understanding of the perspectives of those around you, but the understanding of the impact that you have with everything that you do. When I get out of bed, if I choose to do this before this, and I live in a home with many people, and I have 5 kids. They are preteen and teenager, well, one's almost 13, that's the youngest, up through 20 years old. And we're all staying home together, and a husband. So everything that I do when I choose to eat a meal or not eat a meal, where I choose to brush my teeth, everything has an impact on everyone else. And are you aware of that? We don't need to be trapped by that, but you need to have an awareness of it if you are going to be an effective leader. I heard a couple of you say on your discussion forums that really you're not either in a place of leadership or a person who necessarily considers yourself a leader. But I want to remind you that as you complete your degree with us, which you will complete your degree with us, you join only 6.7% of the world's population that has a bachelor's degree. You are a leader as an educated person. Now, a leader doesn't need to be, as Sinek said, somebody standing in front of a microphone calling the masses to action. That can be a leader, but a leader can be someone who doesn't necessarily carry the title, but who is someone that people turn to when they're in need, someone that people know to trust, someone that people know is a person of integrity. That's who I would like to see you aspiring to be. You are all leaders, whether you want to be or not. So let's own it together and let's seek how to better ourselves first and then step out into the workplace and see what changes we can make. Blessings on you this week. I will be looking at your response papers, number 1, as soon as I'm able to, and get those back to you. I look forward to seeing how you respond to this week's TED Talk. God bless. If you have questions, send me an email. Take care.